Hello students, today let us discuss heat capacity. What is heat capacity? What are the different types of heat capacity? In what way we are going to express the heat capacity? Let us learn one by one. For your understanding, heat capacity nothing but amount of heat stored in a system. Amount of heat it can be stored in a system. For to define it, we are saying that the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a system through 1 degree Celsius. It means the amount of heat we are going to supply to a system to raise its temperature by 1 degree Celsius is nothing but heat capacity of the system. Heat capacity of the system differs from one substance to another substance. In solids, different metals have different heat capacity. In liquids, different liquids have different heat capacity. In the same way, gases may be having different heat capacity. So, for example, if you have a system containing water and in another system you have containing oil, same time you started heating both the systems and both are having same mass. Let us consider system 1 contains 100 gram water, system 2 contains 100 gram of oil. On heating for 5 minutes, that raise in temperature of the system containing oil is more compared to water. It means that small amount of heat is required to raise temperature of oil compared to temperature of water. It means heat capacity of water is more because it requires more amount of heat to raise its temperature by 1 degree, whereas heat capacity of oil is less because it requires less amount of heat is required to raise its temperature by 1 degree. Okay, let us consider the amount of heat supplied to the system is Q. Then on supplying Q amount of heat energy to the system, there is increase in temperature. Let us consider T1 is the initial temperature and T2 is the final temperature. So difference in the temperature or rise in the temperature, that is delta T equals to T2 minus T1. So heat capacity C, we are denoting heat capacity by the symbol C. So heat capacity C is equals to Q divided by T2 minus T1, where Q is amount of heat supplied to the system and T2 minus T1, that is equal to delta T, which is raise in temperature of the system. I think you understood this. Next, heat capacity varies with temperature. That is, heat capacity varies with temperature. It means heat capacity of the system changes with change in temperature. The small amount of heat given to the system is equals to delta Q. The small rise in temperature is equals to delta T. Then heat capacity is given as C is equals to delta Q divided by delta T. Heat capacity of a system of a system can be expressed as number 1 specific heat capacity, and number 2 molar heat capacity. We are expressing the heat capacity of a system as specific heat capacity, molar heat capacity. Heat capacity is a general term, but specific heat capacity, molar heat capacity are in comparison with a certain amount. Here, heat capacity is an extensive property. It depends upon amount of matter present in the system, whereas specific heat capacity and molar heat capacity are intensive properties. For your knowledge, heat capacity, which is a general one, is an extensive property. When we are specifying heat capacity of a certain amount, that is specific heat capacity and molar heat capacity, which are intensive properties, which are independent of amount. Then first one, let us know specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity nothing but the amount of heat required to raise 1 gram of a substance to 1 degree Celsius. Here, in heat capacity, the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a system. It means the system may be having higher mass, lower mass, we don't know, we are not interested. But specific heat capacity, we are measuring 1 gram of a substance through 1 degree Celsius. That is, amount of heat supplied to a system which is containing 1 gram, whose temperature is increased to 1 degree Celsius. That is specific heat capacity of water, or specific heat of water, heat capacity or of water. This is equals to 4.18 joules. That is, water requires 4.18 joules of heat energy to raise its temperature through 1 degree Celsius. So, specific heat capacity is an intensive property because heat capacity of the system is specifying to 1 gram, means we are confining to 1 gram. So, it is an intensive property. Second one, that is molar heat capacity. Molar heat capacity. Molar heat capacity. In molar heat capacity, that is the amount of heat required to raise 1 gram, 1 mole of a substance through 1 degree Celsius. For example, to measure molar heat capacity of water, that is molar mass of water is 18 gram. Water's molar mass is 18 gram. To rise temperature of 18 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius, the amount of heat required is nothing but molar heat capacity. For your knowledge, specific heat capacity of water is 4.18 joules. Then molar heat capacity must be 18 into 4.18 joules, because molar mass of water is 18. Whenever we multiply this molar mass of water with 4.18, that is amount of heat required to raise temperature of 1 gram of a substance by 1 degree Celsius, that is specific heat. So whenever we multiply these two, we are getting molar heat capacity. Specific heat capacity is denoted by small c, whereas molar heat capacity is denoted by Cm. Wherever there is m value, Cm, we are denoting by Cm, it means that it is a molar heat capacity. Small c nothing but specific heat capacity, and capital C nothing but heat capacity. Specific heat capacity, molar heat capacity, both are intensive properties, whereas heat capacity is an extensive property. Molar heat capacity can be given by Cm is equals to C divided by N. That is C nothing but amount of heat given. Amount of heat given, where N is number of moles. Number of moles. In place of Q, I have taken C. C nothing but we can say heat capacity of system. Heat capacity of system divided by number of moles, we are getting molar heat capacity. Let us understand the difference in heat capacity, specific heat capacity, and molar heat capacity of a system by this example. That is, the amount of heat supplied to 3 gram aluminium to raise its temperature from 298 Kelvin to 300 Kelvin is 5.4 joules. Calculate its heat capacity, specific heat capacity, and molar heat capacity. We have this problem, this example. By this example, we can understand. That is, our system contain aluminium of mass 3 gram and its initial temperature is 298 Kelvin and its final temperature is 300 Kelvin. To raise temperature from 298 Kelvin to 300 Kelvin, we are supplying 5.4 joules of heat. Then we have to calculate its heat capacity, specific heat capacity, and molar heat capacity. Okay, first one, heat capacity, which is denoted by C. According to that formula, we have Q divided by delta T. Q is nothing but amount of heat supplied to the system, and delta T is difference in the temperature or rise in temperature. Here Q value is 5.4 joules and rise in temperature, that is 298 to 300, that is 2. So just by dividing is we are getting 2.7 joules of heat. It means heat capacity of the system is 2.7 joules. In place of 3 gram, if we have 10 gram, this value changes. In place of 100 gram, again this value changes. It means as the amount of the substance changes in the system, heat capacity of the system also changes. So it is an extensive property. Okay, next, second one, specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity. Manually you can calculate it. That is, for 3 gram we require 5.4. For 1 gram, how much? Just for 1 degree, actually here 2 degrees Celsius. So here the formula can be written as small c is equals to Q divided by M into delta T. So Q is nothing but amount of heat supplied to the system. M is nothing but mass of the system, that is 3 gram, and delta T is rise in temperature, that is 2. So just by dividing it you are getting 0.9 joules per gram per Kelvin. Third one, molar heat capacity. Molar heat capacity. Molar heat capacity is denoted by Cm, and this is equals to Q divided by M into delta T into molar mass. Here Q value is 5.4, M 3 gram, rise in temperature 2, and molar mass of aluminum is 27. So just by dividing it, 3 ones are 3 nines are 2 ones are 2.7, 2.7 into 9, 24.3 joules per mole per Kelvin. See, just by this example, how heat capacity differs from specific heat capacity, which is differ from molar heat capacity. I think you understood this. Let us know some important points. Here Q is a path function. Hence C is also path function, and it is not a state function. First point. That is, amount of heat supplied to the system is a path function, means in what way you are going to rise the temperature of the system, it depends. So Q is a path function. So heat capacity is also path function, and it is not a state function. Second, heat capacity of a system at constant pressure and at constant volume is different. It means heat capacity of a system at constant pressure and constant volume is different. Whenever you are supplying heat energy to a system at constant pressure, there is increase in the internal energy as well as there is some work done, because at constant pressure there is increase in the volume of the system, so there is some work is done. So heat capacity of a system at constant pressure is different, or which is little high, whereas in case of heat capacity at constant volume there is no work done. It means according to the formula, that is H is equals to U plus PV, or delta H is equals to delta U plus P delta V. At constant pressure delta V is 0. When delta V is 0, it means this term becomes 0. So delta H is equals to delta U. Delta H nothing but QP, that is, at constant volume, whatever you are supplying heat energy, that is equal to change in internal energy. So heat capacity of a system at constant pressure is different, constant volume is different. Okay, I think you understood. Next, types of heat capacity or molar heat capacity. Molar heat capacity or heat capacity, already you know, we can express heat capacity at constant pressure and heat capacity at constant volume. Heat capacity at constant volume is little less compared to heat capacity at constant pressure, because whenever you are supplying heat energy to the system at constant pressure, there is increase in volume. When there is increase in volume, already I told you Vp delta V, there is some work done. So this value, heat capacity of the system at constant pressure, is more compared to system at constant volume. So types of heat capacity, already I told you heat capacity can be expressed in two types, that is heat capacity at constant volume, and second one, heat capacity at constant pressure. Heat capacity at constant pressure. Okay. In case of solids and liquids at constant pressure, the change in volume is negligible or it may be equal to 0. So pressure is not going to affect for solids and liquids, but pressure is going to affect for gases. So heat capacity at constant volume in case of solids and liquids, heat capacity of constant volume and heat capacity at constant pressure are not so different. They are almost approximately equal, but in case of gases, there is variation in heat capacity at constant volume and heat capacity at constant pressure. Let us start heat capacity at constant volume. We can define heat capacity at constant volume as the amount of heat supplied to a system to raise the temperature to 1 degree Celsius by keeping the volume of the system remain constant. It means that we are keeping the volume of the system as constant and we are supplying heat energy to the system. Amount of heat energy supplied to raise 1 degree Celsius of the system, that heat is nothing but heat capacity, and it is denoted by CV. Heat capacity at constant volume is represented as CV. Okay. Then we have to find out some relationship. According to first law of thermodynamics, we can write the expression as dq is equals to du plus p delta v or p dv. dq, that is small change in heat energy, change in internal energy and pressure volume work done. And heat capacity is given by C is equals to delta Q divided by delta T. Delta Q from thermodynamics we have C is equals to du plus P dV divided by dt. So C is equals to P dV is constant because delta V equals to 0. So C is equals to du by dt. Heat capacity at constant volume, that is CV is equals to du by dt, that is change in internal energy with respect to temperature. We can define this heat capacity at constant volume as the rate of change of internal energy with temperature at constant volume. Okay, This is about heat capacity at constant volume. Next, heat capacity at constant pressure. Here, heat capacity at constant pressure is nothing but the amount of heat required by the system to raise the temperature through 1 degree Celsius at constant pressure is called molar heat capacity at constant pressure. Amount of heat energy supplied to the system or required by the system to raise its temperature through 1 degree Celsius at a constant pressure is called molar heat capacity at constant pressure, and it is denoted by Cp. Cp is nothing but molar heat capacity at constant pressure, and it is given by Cp is equals to du by dt at constant pressure plus P dV by dt at constant pressure. Let us make it as equation 1. Enthalpy of the system. The enthalpy of the system is given by H is equals to U plus PV. The differential form of this equation can be written as delta H by delta T at constant pressure is equals to delta U by delta T at constant pressure plus P, which is a constant, delta V by delta T, and it is equation 2. Whenever we compare equation 1 and equation 2, see, right hand side is same, that is delta U by delta T at constant pressure plus P dV by dt at constant pressure. Here also delta U by dt constant pressure plus P delta V by dt constant pressure. So the right hand side of both the equations are same, so we can write Cp is equals to delta H divided by delta T at constant pressure. For an ideal gas, we can write Cp is equals to dH by dt. So we can define the heat capacity at constant pressure as rate of change of enthalpy with rise in temperature or with change in temperature at constant pressure. So this is heat capacity at constant pressure. Today we have discussed heat capacity at constant pressure and heat capacity at constant volume, and this is almost same for solids and liquids, but it varies with gases.